everyone, and welcome to Chapter 3 of our Environmental, Health and Safety course. In this session, we will discuss the regulatory framework on occupational health and safety in Indonesia. We'll look at the main laws and regulations that shape workplace safety, how they connect with each other, and what they mean for engineers and companies in practice. The cornerstone of Indonesian occupational health and safety is Undang-Undang Nomor 1 Tahun 1970 tentang Keselamatan Kerja, or Law Number 1 Year 1970 on Occupational Health and Safety. This law established that every worker has the right to safety at work, and employers are obliged to provide safe working conditions. The law applies broadly to workplaces on land, underground, in the air, on water, and across industries, including construction, mining, manufacturing, and services. Key provisions include employers must provide safe equipment, safe workplace, and adequate supervision. Workers, on the other hand, must use safety devices and follow procedures. Governments act as inspectors who have authority to enforce compliance. This law laid the foundation for all later regulations. Strengthen the Law Number 1 Year 1970. The government introduced Peraturan Pemerintah Nomor 50 Tahun 2012, which requires companies to implement a structured occupational health and safety management system, OHSMS, or in Bahasa Indonesia, Sistem Manajemen Keselamatan dan Kesehatan Kerja, or abbreviated as SMK3. This regulation applies especially to companies with more than 100 employees or companies with high-risk activities. Key requirements of SMK3 include policy and commitment. Top management must commit to safety. Planning, identify hazards, assess risk, and plan controls. Implementation, provide trainings, procedures, and equipments. Evaluation, conduct internal audits and management reviews. Improvement, correct weaknesses and continuously improve. Therefore, SMK3 follows the principle of the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, or PDCA cycle, which is similar to international standards like ISO 45001. Next, we also have the Peraturan Menteri Ketenagakerjaan Nomor 26 Tahun 2014. This regulation governs how the implementation of SMK3 is assessed through audits. The key points in this Peraturan Menteri include companies must undergo SMK3 audit when required by law. Audits are conducted by accredited auditors or institutions. The audit evaluates documentation, implementation, and performance. Companies can be certified at 3 levels: Gold for excellent compliance, Silver for medium compliance, Basic for minimum compliance. The system provides recognition to companies that prioritize safety and pressure for those that neglect it. Finally, let's look at Peraturan Menteri PUPR Nomor 10 Tahun 2021. This regulation specifically addresses safety management in construction projects, known as SMKK, Sistem Manajemen Keselamatan Konstruksi. Now, construction is one of the most dangerous industries, so this regulation is crucial. It requires preparation of a construction safety plan or rencana keselamatan konstruksi, hazard identification and risk management for each project, provision for traffic management, environmental monitoring and emergency response, regular monitoring and reporting of construction safety performance. The regulation also defines the responsibilities of project owners, contractors, and consultants in maintaining safety throughout the project life cycle. These regulations work together. Undang-Undang Nomor 1 Tahun 1970 gives the legal foundation. Peraturan Pemerintah Nomor 50 Tahun 2012 ensure systematic management of safety. Peraturan Menteri Ketenagakerjaan Nomor 26 Tahun 2014 provides the audit mechanisms for accountability, and the Permen PUPR Nomor 10 Tahun 2021 ensure construction safety is addressed in detail. Enforcement comes through the Ministry of Manpower, Ministry of PUPR, and safety auditors. Together, they ensure companies don't just comply on paper, but actually create a safe workplaces. To summarize, Undang-Undang Nomor 1 Tahun 1970 says that every worker has the right to safety, while Peraturan Pemerintah Nomor 50 Tahun 2012 emphasizes that companies must implement the Sistem Manajemen Kesehatan dan Keselamatan Kerja. On the other hand, Peraturan Menteri Ketenagakerjaan Nomor 26 Tahun 2014 enforces that SMK3 audits to certify compliance. Peraturan Menteri PUPR Nomor 10 Tahun 2021 addresses construction projects must apply SMKK, Sistem Manajemen Keselamatan Konstruksi. As future engineers, understanding these regulations ensures not only compliance but also ethical responsibility in protecting workers and communities. Now, let us reflect on these questions. Number 1. Why do we need both general OHS law and sector-specific regulation? Number 2. What challenges might companies face in implementing the Sistem Manajemen Kesehatan dan Keselamatan Kerja or Sistem Manajemen Keselamatan Konstruksi? And number 3, how can engineers help organizations comply with these regulations? Thank you for following Chapter 3. In the next session, we will move to practical application on how we can implement the risk assessment of the hazard identification that you have conducted previously. Thank you very much and see you next time.